There's a reason why a lot of dialogue in the prequels has become infamous and meme-worthy, because the delivery is so stilted or the lines are so lame that you have to laugh at it. It's the same reason why The Room is so infinitely quotable, because it's bad writing linked with a terrible performance. And while some of that can be laid at the feet of the actors, as someone who has had to direct other people in storylines and movies, a director often needs to work with their actors to get the kind of performance they want. And it's clear that George Lucas did not do that. Some of these criticisms that you'll hear are the same ones that others, like Red Letter Media, have made. The Plinkett reviews of the prequel movies pretty much were the defining reviews of them for years and years. Looking back on them, there's a lot of wince-inducing moments in those, a lot of unnecessary fluff, and just downright bad critiques. Like seriously, black people don't like Star Wars? Eat a dick, jackass.
Part 6. Why is Samuel L. Jackson in Star Wars movies? When I first heard that he was gonna be in Star Wars, I was like, huh? What? After a while, it made sense to me though. There is a reason why he's in there, and it has nothing to do with him being the absolute best person to portray the oh-so-memorable character of Mace Windu.
People getting jacked in this movie.
But the Star Wars prequels are nothing more than carefully crafted products to appeal to as many moviegoers as possible. He had milked the original trilogy as much as he could by '97, so it was time to move on. Now with all that said, we can discuss Samuel Jackson. Now a lot of you might be thinking that he's in Star Wars movies because they wanted to have, a black guy on the Jedi Council. That's kinda true, but there's more to it than that, because the diversity quota had already been filled. When the first Star Wars movie came out, people said, "Where's all the black people?" But then in Empire, black people started appearing everywhere. Return of the Jedi was even more diverse. We saw our first black X-Wing pilot who died. There was an Asian pilot who also died. And Lando even had a Hispanic co-pilot. So by the time episode 2 was released, diversity wasn't an issue. But what was an issue was demographics. Truth is, and I'm just gonna say it, black people don't really like Star Wars all that much. Sure, some do I guess. But it's a really small number. Now Hollywood and advertisers have a term they use to avoid being called racists. The term they use is the urban market. Now the urban market once stole my TV, so I know they like movies. But usually it's things like Barbershop, Merida Goes to Jail, Soul Food, Set It Off, Waiting to Exhale, Friday, Three Men and a Little Lady, New Jack City. Now again, I must stress, this doesn't mean that all black people like the same kind of movies. But if I had to pick one demographic that would be least likely to watch a movie with scenes like this, it'd be black people. Oh, come on, you know I'm right. The allure that Samuel L. Jackson was gonna be some kind of awesome ass-kicking Jedi in Star Wars? That was nothing more than a dirty, sleazy marketing gimmick. He didn't do anything. And his delivery of the clunky dialogue was just fucking awful.
Remember, Obi-Wan, if the prophecy is true, your apprentice is the only one who can...
Well, hey, it's a Star Wars movie.
He did awkwardly swing a sword around and then decapitated a poor guy who was just trying to make his way in the galaxy. But by no means was Jackson a badass in this movie. He was just yet another creepy, boring asshole. Could have done him in the CGI and not made a bit of difference. So in short, Jackson was cast not because he was good for the part, but because his name would bring in extra dollars and an audience that might not have come otherwise. Much like how Jar Jar was there to appeal to the really little kids, Anakin was there to appeal to younger, toy-playing aged boys. The Jedi action stuff was to appeal to the teenage to middle-aged fanboys. And lastly, why do you think Amidala changed her outfit so many times and wore such elaborate costumes? Well, that was an attempt to give little girls and women something of interest to look at. The main point I'm trying to make is you can make a film that appeals to all audiences, but you gotta keep all the elements pretty subdued in order to make it work. When you include the extreme ends of the spectrum that movies could go to in order to sell your movie to everyone possible, from like baby stuff to extreme hardcore violence, it becomes a big fucking disaster.
However, for many, those videos were the first time someone really did a thorough breakdown of why the prequels didn't work. People my age saw these movies when we were teenagers and young adults, and we still thought they were awful, but when you're that young, you generally don't know why it's bad, just that it didn't resonate the same way the original trilogy did, so having videos that were so thorough was cathartic and eye-opening. So yes, you are going to see me repeat a few things you've probably heard before, but hopefully I've got some more useful insights than, "What's wrong with your face?" in a silly voice.
After the rough cut screening of the movie for the first time, everyone in attendance looks just as baffled at the clusterfuck as we were. George admits to throwing too much out there.
I may have gone too far in a few places.
Yeah? The editor then attempts to explain pacing and why 4 scenes with totally different emotional tones don't work well together.
In a space of about 90 seconds, you go from lamenting the death of, a hero, to escape, to slightly comedic with Jar Jar, to Anakin returning with his...
But he kind of realizes he's wasting his time, so he stops. Rick McCallum is frozen in utter shock at how horrible the movie was. Internally, he regrets not challenging Lucas on some of the things he was worried about. Lucas then realizes that he can't remove major segments of the movie in editing because they're intertwined.
I mean, I've thought about this quite a bit, and the tricky part is you almost can't take any of those pieces out of there now. Because each one kind of takes you to the next place, and you can't jump. No, I love it.
Hey, it's too late now. Later on, after everybody started drinking, Lucas attempts to explain his newly minted bowel movement as bold and extreme, stylistic.
It's stylistically designed to be that way, and you can't undo that, but we can diminish the effects of it.
No one looks like they know what's going on, and they all look like they're about to start pointing fingers. But that's just my interpretation of this footage. I wasn't there.
It's here! It's up! Oh, fuck! Oh, fuck!